everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going deep on something you probably don't think about too much. Police notebooks.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, they may just seem like, a bunch of scribbles on paper, but trust me, these things are way more important than they look.
I agree with you there.
They're like a weird mix of memory and procedure.
And even legal drama.
Exactly, legal drama.
Yeah, you're right on the money with that legal drama bit. These notebooks are considered official records.
Oh, wow, so this isn't like my grocery list I throw away after shopping.
Not even close.
Oh.
Imagine needing to remember all these tiny details from years ago.
Oh, gosh, yeah, like in court.
Exactly. They could be used in court or even for civil cases.
Wow.
And even internal investigations or oversight boards.
Okay, wow. That's a lot writing on these notebooks.
It is.
I know I can barely remember what I had for breakfast. So how do officers make sure what they write is accurate? When so much is on the line.
Well, it all starts with having a good routine.
Okay.
Like from the minute they get a new notebook, it's almost like a ritual. Yeah. They have to write down everything on the cover. Their rank, their ID number, their department, which book number it is.
Like, is it their 5th notebook or their 10th notebook?
Exactly. And then the exact dates it covers.
So it's like you're saying it's like building a foundation.
Yeah, for a house.
Yeah.
But instead, it's for all this information.
I was looking through the stuff you sent me, and I was surprised by how detailed the daily entries are.
Yeah.
It's more than just like writing the date down.
No, for sure. They have to write down the weather.
Really?
Oh, yeah, their assigned area for the day.
Uh-huh.
Even their partner's name.
Oh, wow. That seems a little much.
It does, but it's all about accountability.
Okay, so every little thing is accounted for.
Every single thing. It sets the scene for anything else they write down in that book.
So like setting the scene in a book.
Yeah, like a novel or something.
Okay, but let's talk about what they write. Is it all just times and dates and places?
Well, that's the basic stuff.
Yeah.
But there's way more to it.
Okay, well, like what?
They have all these special ways to describe stuff.
Yeah.
Like they have this acronym, CYML.
CYML.
Yeah, to help them remember all the car details.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so it stands for color, year, make, and model.
Okay.
And then additional info.
Uh-huh.
And then the license plate.
So it's like a checklist.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
They have to make sure they don't miss anything.
So instead of just writing blue car.
Right. Yeah, they got to write down all those details.
Gotcha. And what about people? How do they describe people?
They have a whole system for that, too.
Oh.
They got to write down things like race and gender and age.
Yeah.
And then height and clothes.
It's like making a video game character.
Yeah, with all those little details.
Makes sense. But what about those little things you might forget later?
What do you mean?
Like, what if the weather changes during something?
Oh, yeah.
Or there's like a weird smell at a crime scene.
Those things can be really important.
Yeah, but you might not remember them later.
Exactly. And that's why they're trained to write all that down, too.
Oh, so they write down smells.
Oh, yeah. Or like the position of a body.
Yeah, that stuff can be hard to remember later.
Exactly. And those details could end up being really important later.
I can see that. Something I was wondering about, how do officers estimate the cost of damage to property?
Oh, yeah, like if a car gets wrecked.
Yeah, how do they put a price on that?
It's not an exact science.
Yeah.
It's kind of based on experience,
Okay.
and knowing how much things cost.
Yeah.
And sometimes they even call in experts to help.
Really?
Yeah, they need to.
So all those little details matter.
Every single one.
Wow. Even like how much a dented car is worth.
Yep, because all that stuff could be used in court,
Right. To decide if someone's guilty?
Yeah, or how much money they have to pay.
Okay, so we got to be careful with these notebooks.
Extremely careful.
They're not just for notes.
They're super important documents.
So there are all these rules about how to keep them right.
Oh, tons of rules.
Like what?
Well, you can't have any blank spaces.
What? Real?
And you got to use black ink.
Oh, that's weird.
It might seem strange, but it's all to prevent people from messing with them later.
Oh, like tampering with the evidence.
Exactly. If there are blank spaces, someone could add stuff later.
Right?
Or if you use pencil, it's too easy to erase.
So black ink is more permanent.
Yeah, way more permanent.
Makes sense. And I guess you can't just throw away a notebook.
Absolutely not. These things are kept forever.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And that brings us to the whole correcting thing.
Correcting.
Yeah, like if an officer needs to add something or fix a mistake,
Uh-huh.
they can't just erase what's already there.
Oh, wow.
You have to draw a line through it,
Yeah.
date it, and then initial it.
So you can still see the original thing.
Exactly. It's all about being transparent.
So anyone can see what was changed.
And when it was changed.
Wow. So
Yeah.
these notebooks are less like notes
Right.
and more like historical documents.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. Every little entry matters.
And every correction matters, too.
Yep. They all add up to tell the whole story.
Like a puzzle, you need all the pieces.
Exactly. And that brings us to another interesting situation.
Okay.
What happens when someone can't write a statement themselves?
Oh, yeah, like if they're hurt or something.
Right. Or maybe they're just too traumatized.
But their story is really important.
Exactly.
So what do they do?
Well, they have this thing called a notebook statement.
Okay, what's that?
Basically, the officer reads their notes out loud to the witness,
Mm-hmm.
and the witness confirms if it's accurate,
Gotcha.
and then they sign the notebook.
So their statement is like part of the officer's notes?
Pretty much. It's a way to make sure everyone's voice is heard,
That's really smart.
and it's all thanks to the notebook
Yeah. We've gone from simple notes to official record.
and witness statements.
Yeah, it's like these notebooks are a part of everything.
You got it. They're a key part of how our justice system works.
It's fascinating. But things are changing now, right?
Oh, yeah.
What with technology and everything.
Yeah. Have you heard of the Prime system?
Yeah, the police records information management environment.
That's the one.
So does that mean officers can finally ditch the notebooks?
Well, not quite. It's not a simple switch, you know.
So Prime is more like another tool.
Exactly. It has some great advantages, but it doesn't completely replace the old-fashioned notebook.
So it's like they work together.
Exactly. The notebook is for those first impressions at a scene.
Yeah.
The raw details you can't really get in a digital report.
And then Prime is for organizing everything.
Right. And analyzing it and sharing it with other people.
So it's like the best of both worlds.
That's a great way to put it. And this is just the beginning. You know, as technology keeps getting better,
Yeah.
we're going to see even more changes in how police record and use information.
It's exciting to think about what's next.
It really is.
Yeah.
But it makes you think about the challenges too.
Like what?
Like security. How do we make sure all this digital information is safe?
That's a good point.
And what about manipulation? Can people hack into the system and change things?
Oh, yeah, that's scary.
Yeah, and those are all things experts are working on right now. How to make sure these systems are secure and reliable.
So it's a work in progress?
Definitely. We're still figuring out the best way to do this.
But Prime does have safeguards, right?
Oh, yeah. It has all these layers of security to prevent people from getting in who shouldn't be there.
So like a digital vault.
Exactly. And there are strict rules about who can change things in the system.
Okay, that makes me feel better.
And everything is tracked and timestamped. So there's a record of everything that happens.
Yeah, I can see who did what and when.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But training is important too.
Oh, yeah, we got to make sure officers know how to use all this new technology.
Exactly. They need to know how to use Prime, all its features,
Mm-hmm.
and most importantly, how to make sure what they write will be accepted in court.
That makes sense. It's like learning a new language.
Yeah, kinda, but it's all part of keeping up with the times.
And the legal system has to keep up too, right?
You got it. The courts are constantly changing to deal with all this new digital evidence.
Like, how do you prove something is really authentic?
Yeah, and how do we know it hasn't been changed?
Those are good questions.
And judges and lawyers are trying to figure that all out right now.
It's like a whole new world out there.
It really is. And it's amazing to see how technology is changing how law enforcement works. But it makes you think,
About what?
will we ever stop using notebooks entirely?
Or will they always have a place?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah. Will we ever go completely digital?
It's tough to say, but I think for now we'll probably see both.
Yeah, like a mix of old and new.
Exactly. There's something about those handwritten notes. The direct observations, the details you can't always capture digitally.
Makes sense. But digital is really good at organizing and analyzing.
Right, so the key is finding a way for both to work together.
Like a team.
Yeah, a team to make a system that's even better at documenting and using information.
It's been really cool learning about this stuff.
Yeah.
We started with just a notebook.
Yeah, just a pen and paper.
But it turns out they're way more than just notes.
They're like a whole system.
With rules and procedures.
Real people using them.
To do really important work.
Exactly. They're not just about writing down facts.
They're about capturing those little things.
The sights and sounds.
The smells.
The little details that could be the key to solving a case.
And now we have technology to help us too.
Yeah. Prime and other systems.
To organize and share information.
But no matter what the method,
the goal is the same, right?
always the same.
Accuracy and attention to detail.
And a commitment to justice.
Exactly. It all comes down to that.
It really does.
So next time you see a police show on TV,
Or maybe in real life,
take a second to think about those notebooks.
they're not just props.
They're a symbol of how our justice system works.
And how important it is to pay attention to the details.
Those little things can make a big difference.
Absolutely. Even in a world of technology,
The power of observation is still crucial.
it's a reminder to us all.
To slow down.
Pay attention.
And maybe even take a few notes ourselves. All right, we're going to take a break now, but when we come back, we're going to dive into what happens when these notebooks end up in court.
Sound good.
So stick around. We'll be right back.
Okay, so we're back. And now we're heading into the courtroom
Uh-huh.
where those notebooks we've been talking about, they really become the center of attention.
They do.
I'm picturing like lawyers all huddled around, highlighting stuff,
Yeah.
looking for that one detail
Oh, yeah.
that could change everything.
That's pretty accurate.
Is that kind of how it goes?
It really is.
Yeah.
Especially during pre-trial discovery.
Oh, right. We talked about that before.
Yeah.
That's where both sides get to see the notebook, right?
Exactly. The prosecution and the defense.
Wow, so they get to see everything.
Everything. No secrets allowed.
Wow, that's pretty intense.
It is. It's all about fairness.
Right. But even though everyone can see the notes,
Yeah.
they can't just use them however they want, right?
Right. There's this whole process called qualifying the notes. Qualifying the notes? What's that?
Basically, it's like a test
Uh-oh.
to make sure the notes are accurate.
So it's not enough for the officer to just say, yep, these are my notes, we're good.
Nope, definitely not.
Yeah.
They have to answer all these questions from the prosecutor.
Like what kind of question?
Well, like, did you write these notes yourself? Were they written at the time of the event? Have you changed anything since then?
So basically proving they're reliable.
Exactly. And, the defense attorneys?
Oh, yeah. I bet they love this part.
They do. They're looking for any little mistake.
Uh-huh.
Any they can use to make the officer look bad.
Oh, yeah, like discrediting the officer.
Exactly. Like, let's say the officer wrote that a suspect's car had a broken taillight.
Oh.
But then later they say the car had a dent in the fender.
Ah, so the details don't match up.
Right. And the defense attorney will be all over that.
Trying to make the officer look unreliable.
Exactly. Like, if they got that wrong, what else did they get wrong?
So it's like a strategy game.
It really is. Both sides trying to outsmart each other.
But who decides what the notes can be used in court?
The judge.
Oh.
They listen to both sides,
Uh.
and then they make the decision.
Wow, so much pressure on those notebooks.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's not just about writing neatly.
It's about knowing that every word
Every little detail.
could be huge in a trial.
It's a lot of responsibility.
It is. And it's crazy how we have these old methods.
Yeah, the pen and paper.
But now we have all this new technology, too.
Like prime.
Yeah, it's like two different worlds colliding.
It is. Tradition and innovation.
But it works, right?
It does, but it also creates new challenges.
Like what?
Well, like you said, technology is changing so fast,
Uh-huh.
the legal system has to adapt.
Yeah, to keep up with everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, how do we know if digital records are authentic?
Yeah, and how do we make sure no one's messed with them?
Those are the big questions.
And who's figuring all this out?
The judges and legal experts.
It's like we're making up the rules as we go.
Kinda, yeah. It's a whole new frontier.
But let's go back to the officers for a second.
Okay.
We've talked about rules and procedures.
Yeah.
But what about the actual people writing these notes?
Well, that's important too.
What kind of training do they get?
It's not just about writing down everything they see.
Right. It's got to be more than that.
They're trained to be really observant, to notice little things that other people might miss.
Like what?
For example, they have to write down how things happen, not just what happens.
So, like, instead of just writing suspect ran away.
Right. They have to describe how they ran,
Yeah,
which way they went, any obstacles they had to get over.
and details about what they look like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like their clothes, anything that makes them stand out.
So they're basically painting a picture with words.
Yeah. A picture for the jury to see in their minds.
That's cool. And what about smells and sounds?
They have to write that down too.
Oh, wow.
They have to use all their senses.
That's a lot to remember.
It is. But those details can be important later.
And what about people's behavior?
That's huge.
Yeah.
They have to pay attention to how people act, not just what they say.
Okay.
Like, what was their attitude like? Did their body language match their words?
Like, were they lying?
Exactly. Officers are trained to spot those little signs.
So they're kind of like human lie detectors.
In a way, yeah. They're looking for anything that seems off.
And all that goes into the notebook.
Every little observation, it all adds up,
It's amazing how much they have to process.
especially under pressure.
Yeah, like when something crazy is happening.
Exactly. It's part of the job.
And it shows how important those notes are.
They really are. It's not just about writing
It's about thinking critically
and being observant.
and explaining things clearly.
All those skills are important.
And not just for police work.
Right. You need those skills in all kinds of jobs.
Yeah, even just in everyday life.
For sure. Like if you're in a meeting at work,
Or taking notes in class.
or even just remembering something important someone told you.
So there's a lesson here for all of us.
Absolutely. We can all learn to be better observers.
And take better notes.
Yeah. It's like building your own personal library of information.
So those little details,
It might seem small.
but they could make a big difference.
You never know when they might come in handy.
Okay. We're going to take a break here for a second.
Mhm.
But when we come back, we'll talk more about how technology is changing all this.
And what it means for the future of police notebooks.
So stay tuned. We'll be right back. And we're back for the final part of our deep dive into police notebooks. It's been a wild ride so far, right?
It has.
From those super detailed entries to the courtroom drama. But now we got to talk about the future.
The future.
Yeah, like how is technology changing all this? We've talked about Prime
Yeah.
and how it's changing the game. But it's not just about ditching the old notebooks, right?
No, it's not about getting rid of them completely. It's more like they have to work together.
Like a partnership.
Yeah. The physical notebook is still there for those, those first impressions at the scene. The raw details that you just can't get in a digital report. And then Prime comes in to help organize everything.
And analyze it.
Exactly. And to share it with other people.
So that's like having the best of both worlds.
Yeah, like having all the right tools for the job.
But this is just the beginning, right?
Oh yeah, just the start. As technology gets better, we're going to see even more changes in how police record and use information.
It's exciting to think about.
It is. But what about the challenges? Like, what about security?
Oh, yeah. That's a big one. How do we keep all this information safe?
It's a huge concern.
Yeah.
We need to make sure these systems are really secure
And
that people can't just hack in and change things.
right. So what are they doing about that?
Well, a lot of really smart people working on that right now.
Oh, good.
Making sure these systems have tons of security to prevent unauthorized access.
Like a digital fortress.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh,
And there are rules about who can access the system and change things.
Makes sense.
And everything is tracked, Every single change is recorded.
So you can see who did what.
And when they did it.
Yeah.
So there's a clear trail.
That's good. But training is important, too.
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
We got to make sure officers know how to use these new systems.
Right. Like all the features of Prime.
Yeah, and how to make sure their entries are, legally sound.
So it'll hold up in court.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a lot to learn.
But technology's always changing, so...
We got to keep up.
But it's not just the officers. The courts have to adapt, too, right?
For sure. Courts are constantly changing to keep up with all this new digital evidence.
Yeah, it's a whole new world.
It is. How do you prove something is real when it's all digital?
And how do you know it hasn't been tampered with?
Those are the questions everyone's trying to answer.
It's pretty amazing to see how technology is changing everything.
It's changing everything we do. And it makes you think about the future.
Yeah. Will we ever get rid of notebooks entirely?
I don't know. It's a tough one.
Maybe we'll always need that human element.
Yeah, those first-hand observations, the immediacy of a handwritten note.
But the power of digital is undeniable.
Oh, yeah. So maybe it'll be a combo of both.
The best of both worlds.
Exactly. Finding a way for them to work together to create an even stronger system.
Well, this has been fascinating.
I agree.
We started with just a simple notebook,
Pen and paper.
and we've uncovered this whole
A
world.
world of detail and procedure.
And real people using these tools to do incredible work.
To protect and serve.
And to seek justice.
It's a powerful reminder.
That even in a world of technology,
Yeah.
those basic principles
Of accuracy, attention to detail.
and a commitment to truth.
Those will always matter.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the world of police notebooks.
My pleasure.
We hope you learned something new.
And maybe even got inspired to pay a little more attention to the details in your own lives.
And until next time, stay curious,
And keep asking questions.
because knowledge is power.